Hello and welcome to a new episode on Good Friends with Marcel. So last time we continued the code exercise, we wrote a few tests and we had this very interesting, discovery that there's a lot of duplication on the actors, let's say, the characters from our project so far. So we started extracting some personas, let's say. And now I think you said it's the time to have a chat about what to do. So what do you have in mind?
Alright, so here basically you can think that to start with our last test we had, you can think about adding new tests that each time add, like kind of sequence, so we get rid of this pop thing, and with a kind of loop or comprehension that will actually return this depth sequence, and then the depth detail sequence, and then we can extract it into a function. All right, so what I want to discuss here is like when we start having this set of functions, like the one that will emerge for our test here, and the other ones, when will you, what would be the natural way here, or practicing some evolutionary design? When will be the you decide to naturally evolve this set of function into a higher level concept, or wherever it can be, module, class, or wherever. I'm really interested to see your point of view about this, about what I call the deciding point.
Yeah.
You say.
Yeah, for sure.
Now.
That's a decision point, yeah. And then, well, what I typically look is at parameters of these functions. If we have the same parameters, it kind of makes sense that they will be together because they are coherent, so they work on the same structures. So what I like to do is to refactor all and to check if those parameters are there, because sometimes they are, but they are hidden away in other parameters. So they are maybe not encapsulated, or one of them is encapsulated, the other one is not. So I try to reason about that and see if they are in fact the same. So if, first of all, that's one of my heuristics. Look at parameters. Look if they have the same parameters. If they have exactly the same parameters, and if I have already 3 functions like that, that's obvious that they need to go somewhere in a higher order part. The other one is naming. So if let's say, would have functions that take care of debts or debtors or things like that, if I will have debt in those functions, probably they should be around together. Was that your question? Was that what you had in mind?
Yeah. So here, for instance, we can imagine. Let's just take it just to see what we are talking about. So here, for instance, is like detail, right? And it's just moving.
It's friends, payer, and payments.
Okay. Same. Yes. Okay.
Yeah. So that's a very good thing you've done now. I call it have a small visual distance. So when you extract things, put them close to each other. And why? Because in this way you can see better the potential duplication in between them.
You're right. And what we can say, what we can see here is that you were talking about the same parameters. So we can see here that France is always the first one.
Yeah.
And if I change the signature here to add some more consistency and start with France like the other ones.
Yes.
So we can see that these are all these are known friends. And it reminds me even something in Python. It's like when you have a class, the first parameter is self.
Exactly. So that's your natural evolution, you see?
Yeah, that feels like natural. So what we have on here is like we have like what we have called so far friends. So maybe we need to think more about this.
But now let's think about the other parameters. Let's see if there's any hidden duplication around. Let's think about the meaning of expenses made, payer, and payments. The question, there are some questions I have in mind. Are expenses made the same with payments?
Expenses made are the same. Yeah, so not really, because here it's number and payments here are it's yeah, so here it was a list and expenses made is the
okay. If we go to, so that's a number, okay. If we'd use payments in the first function, would this make things similar?
Or yeah, you're right, because it's just a collection of expenses.
Yeah.
Maybe we can. You're right. Maybe we can try to to add some consistency on the naming.
So before extracting these functions, this is what I'm doing. I'm trying to see if there's duplication, and you see there's a different level of encapsulation here and of abstraction, because expenses made is just a number, while payments is a more abstract thing, a list. So when you want to minimize duplication, you need to try to put things at the same level of abstraction, or sometimes at the same level of encapsulation. And I have the second a second observation here. We have the payer in the last one, and no, sorry, in the middle one we have only the payer. In the last one you have payer and payments. Now, wouldn't it make sense that in the payments you always have the payer? Or not? That's the question, you know? Like, because you have payments, so a payment is basically a transfer of money from one person to the other. Now, having a payments, so a list of payments without these two persons, it seems like incomplete.
Makes sense.
So I don't know if it's now the moment to do this. You know, I would probably write more tests, but I guess that's the direction I'd like to go to. Yeah, so that's all I see here. Yeah.
All right. Also, thank you about this. So that was mainly about my questions. So let's summarize. Start by the visual distance and go through the parameters the names and the concepts that are hidden behind the names.
Yep.
Okay, and but at the end, all this change, let's just export them to okay. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. So, what do you want to do now?
I'm now. Yeah, it's 10:30. I think we can stop here for now.
Okay, so that was then a shorter episode, just about a bit of comments on the code, and maybe a bit of analysis that would help things move for the future episode. And I have only one thing, and I like maybe to put a to do on the code or something like that. We extracted the get that details because you wanted to have this discussion, but here we didn't respect the rule of 3 from the TDD as if you meant it.
I agree.
Now, there's either we know we want to go there, so we don't respect the rule of 3 anymore, and we get out of TDD as if you meant it, or we put a comment there to say, hey, we didn't do that, so maybe we need to add more tests. So it's, you know, again, it's a design decision, because TDD as if you meant it is a tool. It shouldn't just force us to do things that we think they're obvious.
Yeah, but actually, I would not do this. It's just for the decision, because I would really waited for these rules of 3, and just because introduce some bias, because especially when you're doing something that needs, you know, a little bit of algorithmical decisions. You may you know, just rush because you just thought that this is the direction, and then it seems that to be wrong. So I always I would do it in like in three steps. Never like to have more cleaner implementation without all these fake and stuff, and then after this put it near to the other functions and work on the design.
Okay, then please just add like a comment there to know, or not to forget we've done that. And then let's commit and see you next time.
See you next time.
Thank you. Cheers.